This happened about 3 years ago. I was 32 and often went out into the woods for my photography projects. I wouldn't say I was a wilderness expert, but I knew enough to get by. I wanted to capture the beauty of the Appalachian trails away from the noise of the city. I've never stopped thinking about it. I set up my tent in a secluded area. The sun was setting and painted the sky with oranges and purples. I made a small fire, the glow flickering against the trees. The birds were quiet now, and it felt peaceful. I unpacked my camera and looked around, eager to get some shots of the fading light. Inspiration was everywhere. As night fell, I heard distant gunshots echoing through the trees. I brushed it off as local hunters. They were probably just trying to catch something for dinner. I focused on the sounds of the forest. It was calming. But then I caught a glimpse of something at the edge of the tree line. A shadow moved, quickly disappearing behind the trunks. I felt a chill run down my spine. I shook my head, convincing myself it was nothing. I tried to ignore it, but unease settled over me. It was getting darker, and the chill of the night was creeping in. I wrapped a jacket around myself and poured another cup of coffee. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. They were coming from the woods, crunching on leaves and twigs. I looked in that direction, but couldn't see anything. My heart raced. I was alone, right? Then, about 30 minutes later, I glanced out into the shadows again and saw those figures. They were just at the edge where the light met darkness. I couldn't make them out clearly, but it felt wrong. I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, maybe a bird or something larger, and then nothing, just silence. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't shake off the feeling. I stepped out to look around my campsite. As I scanned the ground, my stomach dropped. There were footprints leading away from my tent. They were large, deeper than mine. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I listened carefully. Other noises drifted through the trees, calls that sounded eerie, like a mix of animal sounds and something human. Every rustle made my heart race faster. I was sure I was being watched. I backed into my tent, my hands shaking as I grabbed my camera. I hoped to capture the beauty of those woods, but now they felt suffocating. My breath came out quicker. I decided I had to move. As I packed my bag, I noticed strange symbols carved into the trees around my campsite, symbols I didn't recognize. I felt a wave of panic. I opened my bag to grab my camera and freeze. There, lying on top, was a photograph of me. It was taken from a distance, just outside my camp. My eyes widened. How could someone have gotten that close without me noticing? I dropped the picture, my body shaking with fear. I staggered back, realizing I was never truly alone in those woods. My heart slammed in my chest as I turned to leave. The darkness surrounded me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching from the shadows. I stumbled out of my tent, my flashlight shaking in my hand. The beam of light flickered across the trees, searching for any signs of movement. The air was thick with tension, and the shadows felt alive, dancing just outside the reach of my light. I felt trapped in a nightmare. I didn't dare look back at my campsite as I stepped away, moving swiftly down a narrow path I had scouted earlier. Each step was cautious. I could still hear the distant echoes, gunshots, laughter, something that felt wrong. I was a city dweller thrown into a world where dark things lurked behind the trees. Then I heard it again. Footsteps. This time they sounded closer, echoing behind me. My heart pounded louder, drowning out the forest sounds. I tried to convince myself it was just the wind, but deep down I knew someone was there. I picked up my pace, the beam of my flashlight bouncing around erratically. I had managed to put some distance between myself and my camp when I spotted a small clearing up ahead. Maybe I could find refuge there, a place to catch my breath and gather my thoughts. But there was something in the clearing that made me stop cold. A fire pit, still smoldering at the center. It looked recently used. Around it, scattered belongings, a ripped backpack, a tattered blanket, some old rusted cans. My stomach twisted. This wasn't an empty site. It felt like someone had just abandoned it. I forced myself to breathe. I was being hunted, but by whom? I set my flashlight down and rummaged through the backpack, hoping to find clues. Inside was an old knife, some matches, and a map of the area. The map was marked with circles around certain locations and notes scribbled in hurried handwriting. I couldn't make sense of it, but the last note gave me pause. Beware of the Watchers. I stumbled back, suddenly feeling very exposed. I rushed to grab my flashlight, but then I froze again. That noise, footsteps, were now much closer. My hands trembled as I clutched the knife tightly. Without thinking, I bolted back into the trees, deeper into the woods. The light from my flashlight guided my escape, but I could feel the presence following me. I had to find a way out. As I sprinted through the underbrush, I could hear whispers echoing through the dark. The words were indistinct, but the tone was unmistakable. Merriment mixed with malice. Panic gripped me. I had to get to safety, to civilization, but I had no clear path. Another loud crack behind me sent me tumbling into the thick foliage. I lost my flashlight, and the darkness swallowed me. I pulled myself up, heart racing, ears straining for sounds that could tell me where I was going. That's when it happened. A sudden flash lit up the trees, illuminating a figure standing just a few feet away. I felt my breath catch. It was a person, a man with a wide-brimmed hat, his face obscured in shadows. He raised something in his hands. Was it a weapon? My chest tightened. Before I could react, he stepped forward, his eyes glinting like a predator's under the sudden light of a flare. "We've been waiting for you," he said, his voice smooth yet chilling. Then everything went dark. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart racing. My eyes flung open, but I was in the same dark forest, laying flat on my back. I quickly sat up, the weight of panic settling back in. The flare had gone out, and the night was even darker than before. I could hear the rustling of leaves and twigs not far off. What had happened? Had I fainted, or was I knocked out? I rubbed my temples, trying to force the fog from my mind. My body felt heavy. I glanced around, searching for any sign of the man in the hat, but he was gone. Just shadows and silence. I quickly rose to my feet, adrenaline washing away the haze. The chill ran up my spine again as I noticed the remnants of the abandoned campsite nearby. In the dark, it looked even more sinister. My grip tightened around the knife in my hands. I had no idea what was going on, but it felt wrong. I needed to move, to get out, but my feet felt glued to the ground. It was like the woods were whispering my name, urging me to stay. With a deep breath, I took a step back towards the path, praying for direction. The map. There had to be something on the map that could help guide me. I hurried back to the fire pit. It was foolish, but I needed some sort of plan. I sifted through the backpack, fingers shaking as I pulled out the map. Even in the dim light, I could see the circles marked across the terrain. They seemed to form a pattern, like a twisted route. But then I noticed something else. A line drawn around a certain spot with the words "Safe here" scrawled next to it. My eyes widened. What if that was true? I had no better options. Just as I started to commit the marked path to memory, laughter erupted in the distance. It echoed through the trees, a haunting sound that chilled my blood. I didn't even want to think about what it meant. The hunters, they were getting closer. I needed to be gone. I stuffed the map into my pocket and took off toward the marked. Every rustle in the trees and every snap of a twig sounded like footsteps following me. I darted left, then right, each step a challenge in the thick brush. The trees seemed to close in, making it hard to breathe. Suddenly, I heard a voice, one that made my skin prickle. "Come play with us," it whispered, low and taunting. It wasn't just one voice, there were others, a chorus of sinister entreaties filling the air around me. I refused to look back, pushing myself forward, but it was a race against time. Then I saw it, a glowing light in the distance through the trees. Hope flickered in my chest. If I could reach that light, maybe I'd be safe. I sprinted closer, ignoring the shadows that seemed to swirl around me. I wasn't ready to look back, not yet. But just as I thought I'd made it, a figure stepped between me and the light. Another hunter, a broad silhouette with gleaming eyes reflecting the feeble glow. He raised his arm as if to grab me. "Not so fast," he smirked, and I felt my heart drop. I didn't have time to think. I turned to run again, but my foot snagged on a root. I fell hard, losing the breath in my lungs. As darkness edged into my vision, I caught a glimpse of their faces, grinning, twisted as they closed in. And then, everything went dark again. I gasped as consciousness crashed back into me. I was lying on the ground, but I wasn't alone. The laughter still echoed, softer now, like a cruel lullaby drifting through the trees. I shot up, heart hammering, and glanced around. No one was immediately in sight, but I could still feel them lurking in the shadows. I scrambled to my feet, my senses on high alert. The forest felt alive, whispering and rustling, almost guiding me deeper into its embrace. I couldn't stay here. I had to reach the spot marked on the map, whatever it took. With shaky breaths, I pushed through the underbrush, stumbling forward. I remembered the glowing light. I had to find it again. The air grew colder as I moved, each breath a painful reminder of my solitude. I then realized I hadn't seen or heard the hunters since collapsing. Had I escaped them for a moment? But that thought slipped away as I spotted a flash of white between the trees. I paused, squinting. There it was again. A lantern? Maybe I wasn't too far off after all. I shifted towards the light, fueled by a mixture of dread and hope. My footsteps crunched softly against the fallen leaves, the sound a reminder that I wasn't invisible. As I approached, the white glow flickered more brightly. I pushed through the underbrush, and the lantern came into view, swinging gently from a branch. It seemed out of place, almost too pristine for the chaos surrounding me. Was someone really here after all? I moved around the lantern, scanning the area. Before I could catch my breath, I noticed something strange on the ground. A circle of stones surrounded the base of the lantern, arranged in an odd pattern. I bent closer, the hairs on the back of my neck prickling. Then I heard voices again, close. They were no longer distant echoes. This time, they were right around me, each whisper laced with malice. "Come join us," they beckoned, and the shadows shifted as if they were alive, reaching closer to me. My instincts kicked in, and I staggered back, almost tripping over my own feet. The map! I whipped it out, hoping to find a clearer direction. The circle circled around a section that felt different, but I couldn't remember where "safe here" was in relation to the lantern. I had no time. Suddenly, I realized the whispering voices had become a chorus, demanding something I couldn't give. A nightmare awakened. The light surrounded me, casting elongated shadows that resembled long fingers grasping for possession. Just then, a figure lunged from behind a tree, blocking my path. It was small and lithe, not as broad as the hunter from before. A child, maybe? But the grin on its face was unsettling, with eyes too wide, glinting like the lantern. "Why don't you want to play?" it asked, the taint of laughter twisting the innocent tone. I retreated instinctively, panic rising. The brush behind me cracked, and I froze as more figures emerged from the shadows, flanking me. This wasn't just a child's game, it was a trap. My back pressed against something solid, the lantern, its light flickering crazily as if sensing my fear. Then I felt a presence behind me. I turned in horror, and that's when I saw it. A dark shape looming from the forest's edge, larger and more ominous than the others. A hunter, not just any hunter. This one wore the same hat as the man from my last vision. I froze, caught between the shadows closing in and the stone circle behind me. Desperation clawed at my throat. I had to choose, fast. But which way could lead me out of this endless nightmare? I didn't have time to think. The whispers intensified, each desiring my surrender. They were closing in. Instinct kicked in. With my pulse racing, I leapt to my left, towards the thicket of trees. Before I could even fully register what I was doing, I dashed through the underbrush, branches snagging at my clothes and scratching my arms. Behind me, the child's laughter echoed through the trees, hauntingly melodic. "Come back," it called, its voice a mockery of innocence. I fought through the branches, my heart in my throat, every step driven by the thought of escape. The lantern's glow dimmed as I moved further away, swallowed by the shadows, but I couldn't stop to look back. My lungs burned with every ragged breath I took. I darted past the underbrush, adrenaline sharpening my senses. The whispers faded slightly, but the oppressive feeling of being hunted stayed. I had to find the map again. I groped through my pockets, my fingers trembling until they brushed against the crumpled paper. I yanked it out, unfolding it hurriedly as I continued to run. The glowing markings were still faint in my mind, yet I sought the place I had to reach. "Safe here," I muttered to myself, focusing on those words, clinging to them like a lifeline. Ahead, there was a clearing, bathed in moonlight. I felt drawn to it, a glimmer of hope rising amidst my desperation. But as I burst through the trees, my heart sank. A massive stone archway faced me, covered in vines and creeping moss. The same archway on the map. I was at the right place, but it didn't feel safe. It felt like an invitation to something dark. No time to hesitate. Behind me, a rustling noise. The laughter had returned, growing louder, as if a pursuit had begun anew. My breath hitched as I took a tentative step toward the archway. I didn't want to pass through, but I knew I had to. The whispers wrapped around me like a shroud, deepening my dread. It became impossible to tell where the shadows faded and the night began. "Where are you?" The mockery of the child's laughter slipped into a hiss, chilling my spine. I stepped through the archway, rushing into the darkness beyond. Once inside, I felt an immediate shift in the air, cooler and more suffocating. I clenched the map, my heart racing. I had entered the realm beyond, something that was never meant for me. But what about the hunters? The sounds of laughter stopped, following me into this new space. I turned and faced the archway. It stood just as foreboding as before, but I could already hear footsteps approaching from behind. They were drawing near. Panic washed over me again. I moved further in, hoping desperately to find some trace of safety. That's when my foot caught on something soft. I stumbled, barely catching myself. Then I saw it. A stone sarcophagus lay just ahead in the darkness, its lid slightly ajar. The whispers morphed into a low chant, a rhythmic call that pulled me closer. Somehow I knew I should not approach, but curiosity mingled with fear. I felt that familiar grip of dread as the sounds of pursuit grew louder. They were almost here. I had to decide fast. Should I flee further into this dreadful place, or face what lay within the sarcophagus? I had no choice. The footsteps were too close, too intent on catching me. I took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. I had to know what was inside that sarcophagus. Maybe it held the answers I desperately sought. Or perhaps it was a trap. A bead of sweat trickled down my brow as I crept closer, my heart pounding like a drum. The low chant morphed into an almost plaintive wail that resonated in my bones. I leaned down, fighting the urge to retreat, and peered inside the sarcophagus. What I saw made my stomach churn. Inside lay a figure, obscured in shadows, its features indistinguishable but unmistakably human. The person wore tattered clothes, almost like they'd been buried alive. The whispers grew louder, as if urging me to touch the figure. "Please, help me," a voice faintly echoed from within the dark. It was a grown-up's voice, desperate and pleading. I recoiled, skin crawling. Why would someone be in there? What had happened to them? Before I could gather my thoughts, I heard the unmistakable rustle of leaves, and the sound of laughter drew closer again. I slammed the lid shut, panic surging through me. The laughter from the forest had merged into something more sinister. The child's voice was now joined by others, a chorus of mocking tones echoing through the archway behind me. More hunters had arrived. "Run, run, little lost one," they sang, their tone dripping with sarcasm. "You think you can escape?" I turned on my heels, scrambling away from the sarcophagus and deeper into the dark expanse. More instinct than thought guided my steps. The air felt alive, thickening, as if it were watching, waiting. I could scarcely breathe as I moved deeper into the unknown. Suddenly, I stumbled across a narrow passageway carved into the stone. Dim light flickered ahead, and the haunting echoes seemed to ebb in the presence of it. I scrambled inside, hoping to find some place to hide. But as I entered, something electrifying coursed through the air. My entire being felt charged, as if I'd crossed an unseen boundary. The light flickered again, revealing strange symbols etched into the walls, glowing faintly in the dimness. They were similar to the markings on the map. My fingers brushed against the cold stone, and a surge of understanding washed over me. This was a place of power, a threshold between worlds. Before I could fully digest this, a chilling wind rushed through the passage, snuffing the flickering light. Dark shadows danced around me, and the whispers returned, sharper now, like a pack of wolves closing in. I swallowed hard, heart racing. Then, without warning, the passage shuddered. Rocks crumbled above me, and I heard a chilling voice that sent ice through my veins. "You will not escape us." The entrance behind me began to close, and I realized I was caught in a trap. I had to move now. But deeper in, the strange symbols pulsed, beckoning me further. What awaited me ahead, and could it possibly offer salvation, or was it just another layer of danger? I took a step forward, driven by sheer instinct, the laughter and shadows chasing behind me like phantoms of the night. There was no turning back now. The moment I stepped deeper into the passage, everything around me shifted. I could no longer hear the laughter, just the echo of my own heartbeat thumping in the silence. The shadows still loomed, but they receded slightly, as if momentarily intimidated by the light ahead. I rushed forward, sensing that time was slipping away. The glow from the symbols was brighter here, illuminating the walls with an otherworldly light. I could almost decipher them, but panic clouded my mind. I glanced back once, but the entrance was now a solid wall of stone. No way out. As I continued, I noticed something strange. The further I walked, the more my skin prickled, like static electricity. It was as if the air was charged with energy, and I couldn't help but feel that something was watching me. The symbols pulsed gently, each rhythm synchronized with my own heartbeat. Did they mean anything, or were they simply a warning? Soon, I stumbled into a wider chamber, and the light blazed at full intensity. My eyes widened at the sight before me. In the center stood an altar, draped in weave of twisting vines and sparkling with stones that seemed to shimmer with life. On the altar lay a small object, an ornate dagger, its blade gleaming ominously. almost beckoning me closer. But I knew better than to let curiosity draw me in. I hesitated, recalling all the warnings about ancient relics. What if it was the reason for the laughter? What if it summoned the hunters? But the whispers did not fade. They swirled softly like a breeze around me, murmurs that tangled with the energy in the air, urging me to take it. "Come closer, it's meant for you," the voice seemed to coo, feminine and seductive. I shook my head, fighting the compulsion. I needed to find a way out, not an object that might seal my doom. Before I could decide, the ground beneath me rumbled. The altar trembled, and I staggered back. A chilling laugh echoed through the chamber, filling me with dread. "You think you can resist? Join us!" That voice, it was one of the hunters. Panic surged through me. I darted to the far side of the chamber, searching for any exit. The walls shifted, the glowing symbols pulsated wildly, and I thought for a moment that the world was fading around me. In my frantic search, I pressed my hand against the wall, where the symbols glowed intensely under my palm. To my shock, a path opened, revealing a narrow tunnel. It looked even darker than the chamber, but I had no choice. The hunters were coming. The air in the tunnel felt different, almost electric. I squeezed through, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to keep moving. Each step echoed behind me, and the whispers transformed into laughter once more, a cacophony that threatened to engulf me. Then, everything went silent. I paused, breath caught in my throat, the absence of sound unnerving. I took a hesitant step forward, half expecting the hunters to leap out from the shadows. And that's when I saw it. Reflection in the tunnel wall. A face staring back at me, eyes dark and empty. It wasn't mine. My breath quickened. I turned to run, but the passageway twisted, and I realized I was trapped again. The chilling laughter returned, now close enough to feel hot breath on my neck. I was no longer alone. My instincts kicked in, urging me to move again. I darted deeper into the tunnel, the dark stretching endlessly ahead. I could hear the laughter still, now mixed with whispering voices that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. The air grew thicker, pressing against me like a weight, almost as if the tunnel didn't want me to escape. With each step, the laughter morphed into something more sinister, a mocking sound that unnerved me. The faces in the walls twisted into twisted smiles, just like the one I had seen. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was nothing there, yet the feeling of being watched gnawed at me. Suddenly, I stumbled over something, falling to my hands and knees. I looked back to see what I had tripped on. A small, slick stone, dark and smooth, half buried in the dirt. It shimmered like the dagger. I reached for it, compelled by a force I couldn't understand. The moment my fingers brushed against its surface, an electric shock shot through me, jolting me backward. I scrambled away from it, heart racing. "No," I whispered, feeling a surge of panic. It was like the dagger. My mind screamed at me to leave it behind. I scrambled to my feet and pressed on, ignoring the urge to look back at the stone that felt somehow alive. The tunnel curved sharply, and as I rounded the corner, a sliver of light broke through the gloom. Hope flickered in my chest. I rushed toward it, desperate for an end to this nightmare. But as I neared, the light revealed a scene that chilled me to the core. There were figures standing in a half circle around a wall, their hooded forms cloaked in shadows. They seemed to hum in unison, a low, vibrating sound that resonated in my bones, familiar yet foreign. The space between them shimmered, and images flickered to life like a cruel magic trick, showing snippets of lives, my life. I saw friends laughing, glimpses of my family, moments of joy that now felt like distant echoes. But it wasn't just my life. I saw glimpses of others, people who had vanished, their faces twisted in fear. My heart raced. These were the hunters, I realized. The laughter that had haunted me belonged to them. They were the ones who stripped joy from life. I stepped back, uncertainty flooding my mind. Just then, one hooded figure turned toward me. In its empty gaze, I felt my connection with the images severed, and total dread washed over me. I couldn't stay here. I had to move, to escape. As I turned to flee, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter erupted again, louder. This time, echoing violently off the walls. The air crackled, and the shadows around me surged forward, pulling me back toward the figures. I fought against the pull as the whispers grew into screams, echoing my own terror. I lunged toward the light, adrenaline fueling every ounce of my being. Just behind me, I felt a cold grip, fingers that clawed at my shoulder. I was inches from the doorway, but would I make it? Would they drag me back and add my voice to the symphony of laughter? My heart raced. I had to push through the pain and fear. I flung myself into the light. I could see an exit, a way out. But as I crossed over, I felt the shadows tighten their hold. I hit the ground hard, sprawled out as the stinging light lifted the shadows off my skin. I turned my head to look back into the tunnel, but the darkness no longer felt threatening. It was a blanket of quiet, heavy and still. The laughter was gone, replaced by an unsettling silence that made my skin crawl. I pushed myself to my feet, adrenaline still coursing through me. My breath came fast and shallow as I scanned my surroundings. I was outside, but not where I had hoped to end up. The forest stood all around, dense and foreboding, trees looming like ancient sentinels. They blocked out the sky, casting long shadows over the ground. I felt lost in a sea of green-gray bark and tangled underbrush. I took a few shaky steps away from the tunnel, listening for any sign of pursuit. But there was only silence. It was too quiet. I glanced back, half expecting to see those hooded figures emerging, but all I found was an empty entrance swallowed by the wood. I spotted a fallen log ahead, and I stumbled over to it, needing a moment to gather my thoughts. What had just happened? I could still feel the remnants of dread wrapping around my heart. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to breathe, to regain control. Whatever had just happened, I needed to make sense of it. As I sat there, I began to notice the peculiar energy of the forest. Shadows danced in my peripheral vision, and an instinctual chill crept down my spine. I opened my eyes, feeling the weight of being observed. That's when I saw it, a flash behind a tree about 10 yards away. A figure slid between the trunks, and my stomach dropped. "Hello?" I called, the word coming out choked and shaky. Silence was my only answer. My pulse quickened as I stood up, scanning the woods with dread settling in my gut. Was it one of them? Then, out of nowhere, a low growl met my ears, a deep rumble that sent a chill through me. My eyes darted through the forest, and there it was again, movement, deeper in the trees. I could hear it now, the sound of footsteps, muffled, but deliberate. My instinct screamed for me to run, but I felt rooted to the spot. And then I saw it, a dark shape weaving in and out of the trees, almost like a shadow itself. My breath hitched as it slowly emerged into the dim light. It was like nothing I had ever seen, tall, hunched over, with eyes that glimmered like cold steel. Before I could react further, it vanished back into the thicket, leaving only the echo of my heartbeat in my ears. I was not alone. Panic hit me hard, my fight or flight response kicking into high gear. I needed to find a way out. But as I turned to sprint toward what looked like a clearing, I stumbled again. This time, it wasn't over a stone. No, it was a hand, gloved and skeletal, reaching up from beneath the dirt. I felt a jolt of panic shoot through me as my mind raced. Had they followed me? The ground trembled, and as I tore my gaze from the hand, I realized it was not just one. More figures began rising, shifting through the damp earth like nightmares given form. I had to move. The woods were alive with their laughter again, mocking, threatening. I bolted toward the only option left, the direction where the trees thinned. I sprinted through the underbrush, heart pounding in my ears, as those nightmare figures clawed their way from the earth behind me. The laughter echoed in the woods, rising to a chilling symphony that sent shivers down my spine. I glanced back just once, catching a glimpse of outstretched hands and hollow eyes, their joy twisted with a haunting desperation. My breath came in ragged gasps as I barreled through the trees. The ground was uneven, roots snaring my feet, but I pushed on, driven by sheer instinct. I could sense the presence of the woods encroaching, shadows twisting and writhing around me, as if eager to close in and claim me. I had to get away, had to find the edge of the dark. Finally, just as I felt the exhaust of panic threaten to consume me, I burst into a clearing. The moonlight spilled across the forest floor, illuminating the area before me. I staggered to a stop, lungs heaving, eyes wide as I took in the sight. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient oak tree, its branches stretching high into the night sky, twisted and gnarled. Below it, the ground was marked with what looked like an old circle, a ring of stones partially covered in moss. The air felt different here, thicker, charged with a strange energy that tingled against my skin. With dread creeping in around the edges of my mind, I remembered the markings on the map. The old map, the one that had said, "Safe here?" It couldn't be a coincidence. I stepped inside the ring, watching the shadows hesitate at the edges, as if unwilling to step into a sacred space. My vision darted anxiously from the edges of the clearing to the cover of trees still ringing with laughter. Just as I gathered my breath, the weight of whatever chased me emerged from the trees. The tall, hunched figure slipped out, eyes glinting in the night like dark stars. Behind it, the child appeared too, flanked by other shadowy figures that seemed to weave from darkness itself. My heart pounded. With the safety of this circle came a terrifying choice. "Join us! Join us!" they cried in a cacophony, their voices blending together, a cruel choir that amplified my fear. They were all at once sinister and alluring, drawing me closer to them, calling to something deep within. "No!" I screamed in defiance, clutching my camera like a shield, my only weapon against the encroaching darkness. I snapped a picture, the flash momentarily illuminating their wicked forms and catching their eyes wide in surprise. The laughter faltered just a beat, but I knew it was temporary. "Leave me alone!" But then the figure in the hat stepped forward, gaze piercing, as if to see straight into my soul. "You can't escape what you are," he murmured, voice dangerously smooth. "You belong here." With a frantic dash, I turned from them and sprinted back toward the tree-rooted circle. I felt something break behind me, and the shadows snapped forward, chasing after me like hunters on a scent. My foot slipped on the damp earth as I dove into the circle, feeling something push against my back as the energies danced around me. I scrambled to the edges of that stone circle, legs trembling, pressing against the ancient oak. Then something in the air shifted. The laughter, the echoing cries, the whispers of the hunters, everything faded. For a moment, it all faded into a heavy, horrible silence. But in that void, I saw the figures swirling, their forms glitching like a film reel straining under a weight. I glanced back at the tree, its surface warm and welcoming, as if offering me a lifeline. Instinctively, I reached out, fingers brushing against the bark, and suddenly, everything shattered. Light engulfed me in a blinding wave, tearing through the shadows with a force I never expected. I was swept up in a swirl of energy, the echoes of laughter dissolving into a chaotic whirl. When everything solidified, I found myself alone on the forest floor again. Breathless, I pushed myself up, looking around, searching for any trace of the hunters. But there was nothing. Silence enveloped the woods, and I was left in stark solitude. I scrambled to rise. My heart raced, and I ran through the trees, forgetting everything I had just experienced for one single thought: escape. Something compelled me forward, urging me to find the way back to safety. But as I ran, I couldn't shake the sensation that something lingered behind me. Questions buzzed in my mind, swirling with doubts about what I had truly encountered in those woods. The figures, the laughter, had they really been there? Had I slipped into a realm of nightmares, or was there something more tangible at play? I came to the edge of the trees, emerging onto a familiar path that led back to civilization. The realization that I had escaped washed over me like a blanket, yet the feeling that I was merely at the crest of understanding left me unsettled. 3 years have passed, but I still think about those woods and what I might have opened up. Sometimes at night, I hear laughter carried on the wind when the moon hangs full and bright. I moved away from the memories that felt like shadows, but the questions linger. What was it that connected me to that dark forest? What had truly watched me from the shadows? I may never know the answers, nor will I ever feel wholly free from the nature of what lurked there. But every now and then, I glance toward the distant ridges, wondering if those hunters are still waiting, still watching for the next opportunity to ensnare the lost.